Falmouth Is Cooking is made possible in part by the following. Appliances donated by Crane Appliance. Kitchen installation donated by M. Duffany Builders. Specialty studio electric and gallery installation donated by David Rogers Electric. Kitchenware donated by Eastman's Hardware.
Hello, welcome to Falmouth Is Cooking. I'm Gail Blakely. I am the host of this show. I thought today I would give you a little bit of history in terms of how we developed the concept of the show, why we're here, and where we hope to go. So, 2019, before the pandemic, we started. I think I did my first show in December of 2019. It was cooking for the holidays, and we did some fun stuff, and people seemed to like it. I got a little more comfortable in front of the cameras. I'm still working on that. But today I have a new challenge. I'm using a teleprompter, which I've never done before, but now I know all those people who give real speeches look so good. They can just read whatever is there, as long as they don't have bright lights shining at them, but we'll see what we can do. In 2019, before pandemic, we had an audience, and it was really wonderful to be able to cook and talk to my audience, talk to people. People did not heckle me, but I understand that one of our members over the audience does have that intent today, but we'll see what happens. And I am glad to have an audience back, and I'm glad to be back. We came back in 2022 with a couple of shows. Most recently we did tomatoes, and now we're moving into apples and then into pumpkin season, and I think from there probably into the holidays. So we will be moving right along. Every month we will do something different. And what I want to do with this show is let people really see some easy recipes. I'm going to talk some about products because I'm a big, how would I say it? I'm a big fan of prepared spices, spice mixes. However, most of my recipes are relatively simple with more pure ingredients, such as this applesauce that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. So I want people to understand how you can elevate your own home recipes. I want you to understand also who's around in Falmouth. So we're going to have some of our local chefs. We have had some business owners, purveyors of different foods, and I think that's what I really want to focus on for our community, so that we can continue to build a strong food community in Falmouth and its close neighbors. And I think that's what we'll be doing today with a farm stand that's going to help us, has actually supported us with a lot of ingredients. And I'm going to bring up now Susan Sigel Goldsmith. Susan Sigel Goldsmith, come on up. You are one of my favorite people now. Susan and I have been cooking at once at Highfield recently, thank you. And also I've been haunting your store.
Yeah.
Is it a store, a farm, a shop? What do we call it?
We're a food club.
You're a food
but
club.
The public is welcome to shop with us.
Okay.
So we have
Okay.
a little store.
Okay, it is little.
It's little.
And I think that you really took off during COVID,
Yeah.
because people were able to call in their orders or email in their orders or do it electronically, and then it's just swing by and pick up the stuff, which was really quite wonderful. Yeah. So how did you get that idea for that?
I had been living on the vineyard and eating pretty much 100% local food.
Uh-huh.
And when I came here, there was not an easy access to a lot of local food.
That's true.
And I had been sort of incubating various ideas, and then the same timing seemed to be right. We got the perfect little location right next to Somerset Creamery, and yeah, right. And I thought it was going to be very, very, very small. 50-member families, a little side gig.
Yeah.
And then it went bigger during COVID, and now it's bigger than a side gig.
I bet.
But it's still small,
but
which is good.
And you still do a great job. I have gotten some wonderful, wonderful things from
all
you.
local, all delicious.
So Susan's shop, Farm Club, is in Katomet, right near the Somerset. As you say, I think the most important thing about going to your shop is to say no to Somerset Creamery. I know it's hard. Or eat it standing up so it all goes to your feet, which is what my mother used to say. That ice cream is deadly. That ice cream is so good. So
Everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. Thank you, Julia. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be talking about some of your products. I think you brought me a great towel that we're going to take a look at. What I want to do right now, though, is share with you guys this roasted applesauce recipe. I'm not going to demonstrate this because we've already got it going. So what this is we have two kinds of apples, perhaps not the freshest because they weren't all Susan's, but a couple of them are what do we think are kind? We think they're Honeycrisp and maybe a couple Cortlands, do you think?
I think Cortland and Macintosh because you want a softer apple for that.
Okay.
And even if you've got an apple that's going soft, applesauce is a great thing for that,
That's
right?
true. Yep.
You know, things to avoid food waste. You're going to smash it anyway.
Yes, I am smashing it.
And they look good.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to let this cool now. This has actually been in the oven for 25 minutes. And it was roasting at 4 1/4, 425 degrees. And what we did was we cut the apples. I did not peel them, although the original recipe does call for peeling, but as much as I can incorporate the peels of vegetables, I try to do that. So we tossed our apples as we cut them up into chunks in a bowl with some lemon juice, dumped them into some browning butter. You'll have the recipe on the screen. And then we let them simmer a little bit just to caramelize the edges. Added honey, which this is a honey that Susan brought, and we'll talk about that in a second. I just want to finish up the recipe here. Tossed it all together with a couple tablespoons of honey and put it in the oven. And that roasted off, and it really intensifies the flavor of the apples. I think
amazing.
and it smells wonderful. Once again, we're back to smell-o-vision. I would hope that we could we could eventually do that. I've asked my producer to do that, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it in our lifetimes. But who knows? Just look at what we have now. I have a teleprompter. I didn't ever imagine myself talking to a teleprompter. I'm much more used to talking to my peeps. So we have this. We're going to let it cool, and then we're going to show you what you might be able to do with this. But why don't you tell us about the honey for a second?
Okay.
Because I know honey is something we should eat, and maybe I should have more of it because of my allergies. But what about honey? Why is honey important, and local honey especially?
Honey's the purest food there is. Honey and bee pollen. It never goes bad. It'll go solid. You can warm it up in just a pot of water and it'll go liquid again, but it never goes bad.
Okay.
This is Papa Joe's honey from East Falmouth. You do want to eat local honey. And a spoonful a day is reputed to be great for allergies. We have tons of people who look to do that.
Do they report back to you that it really helps?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do bee pollen as well. If you feel yourself dragging a little, it's hard to find.
I drag all the time.
Try a spoon of honey.
I will. Okay. I will do that. Thank you. Thank you. I also want to say that Susan has been very gracious and has donated all of our food that we're using today. So I do thank you for that. That's just terrific. So we have that to show you, and I'm going to let this cool off a little bit while we work on our coleslaw. Our coleslaw is going to be next. Okay, this is my apron. Let me, as I look at this, my rag here, let me show you. This is the wonderful. Stand back. You ready for this?
Ready,
This is our dramatic effect here. This is a, I don't want to say rag, tea towel. Thank you. I was going to say dish rag. That's not very nice, is it?
Tea towel.
Courtesy of
Buy Fresh, Buy Local Cape Cod.
Buy Fresh, Buy Local Cape Cod. And what this will do, isn't that cool? I should do that again.
It was, yeah.
Anyway, what this will do, should you forget what's in season,
It gives you a nice
take a
overview.
look at that and talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit, if you could do that for me.
So if people are not familiar with Buy Fresh, Buy Local, that is supported by our tax dollars. They work out of the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension. And there's a website. You can go Buy Fresh, Buy Local, and you can find all the farms, what they have, what's in season. And it's really helpful, and it's working to help build a sustainable community and sustainable food, right?
Good.
And that's what we're doing at Bootstrap. It's all local food.
So we can look forward, August. I don't see
Backward,
tomatoes.
yeah.
Or backward. Well, look at our tomatoes are in September, and that's true. They are some wonderful tomatoes
Still
now.
coming.
And of course, our apples. Is that cherries? Is that what that is?
I bet those are beets.
Oh, beets.
I would say
Okay.
beets. We've
All
got beets. We've got radishes. Squash are starting to come now. Winter squash.
Oh, isn't this pretty?
Yeah,
That's just
it's
terrific.
nice.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's cool.
I thought you'd have fun with it.
I'm going to actually just, maybe I'll roll it back up and put it there. Or you know what? Could I hang it? See what happens. We do that. Does that look okay? This is beautiful. Isn't this gorgeous? This is, what kind of kale am I looking at, Susan?
That's Siberian kale.
Siberian kale.
Yeah.
How's that different from Tuscan kale? One, obviously, Siberia and Tuscany.
Tuscan's also known as dino kale, so it's big and oval, a little
Okay.
flatter leaf.
Okay.
The kale's really coming now. Siberian's typically a purple stem,
Okay.
a little wider, but the flavor's very nice, and you can interchange most of your
Okay.
kales.
All right. Yes, I realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite is Lacinato, which is also known as dinosaur kale.
Which is also Tuscan.
Which is also Tuscan kale,
Yeah.
yeah. And if you've got a nicely sharpened knife, an easy way to get this off is just to pull like that, and then Susan and I will shred it in a little bit. So why don't you get going on
the
your
carrot?
Carrot.
The whole
And
thing.
these are fresh here. So this coleslaw has a dressing that is yogurt and mayonnaise and some apple cider vinegar, which is a wonderful product. Can you talk about the health benefits of apple cider vinegar as well?
What you're doing when you're taking vinegar is you're shifting your whole body pH.
All right.
But it's just really great for your gut. If you can get it down, you should do it. And there's some good ones.
Do people just like drink it sometimes?
Little shot of vinegar. Spoon of honey, shot of
can-
vinegar, you'll live forever.
I can think of other things I'd rather have a shot of, I
Right.
think, than the vinegar, but I don't know. I could. All right, so you can see me taking all of this off here, getting rid of my tough stems. Can you use this for anything else, Susan, or just compost at
I
this
feed them
point?
to my goats.
You have goats? How many goats do you?
Oh, they're so cute.
Oh, let's get them here.
No.
I've always wanted to have goats. That has been the main thing that I have just
don't
wanted
want
to do.
goats
I
here.
took a seminar once up at, I want to say Durgan Park, but it wasn't. It was one of those farms up north when I lived in Boston and Brookline. So your kid wants a goat. And I was the big kid who was there in my 20s who wanted a goat. So I learned all about how to take care of goats. And as a matter of fact, my home in Wacoit is zoned for goats. But I've lived there for 35 years. And so I don't think I'm going to get a goat at this point. So, now, why wouldn't you bring your goats in? Because they'd be misbehaving?
They're not trained pets. These are
You see them on television with their long ears and
Yeah,
stuff?
no, mine are not trained in that way.
all right.
We're much
No
more
goats.
much more feral than
Sorry,
that.
viewers, no goats. But okay. Well, we had little Nubian goats at that seminar that I went to, so that's what I'm thinking. All
Bead
right.
goats are good.
Well, I could still come and visit your goats,
Yes, you
right?
can visit goats anytime you
Okay,
want.
all right. And so maybe I should save the stems because then they would really love me.
I'll take them home if you want. You want the whole thing? You want more?
I think
So
that's
now-
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then apple also.
Apple also, please.
great.
Grate it in. Okay. So this is half a bunch of Tuscan kale or Siberian kale, half a small red cabbage, cored and grated, some freshly grated carrots,
Okay.
and 2 firm sweet apples such as Honeycrisp. All right. So we will get those all tossed together. And I like this because of the colors. I think this is a lovely combination. So I'm thinking Yeah, this is so pretty. I hate to even cut it up, but we will.
We will.
I'm thinking one apple is probably going to
Yeah,
be
these are
plenty.
fairly
Susan.
large.
They're
The
large,
Honey
yeah.
Crisps run
Okay.
quite large.
All right. I'm going to scrape my applesauce into this
The
bowl
juice.
because I'm thinking we may need even a bigger bowl for this. So. I think. Okay.
They were great apples.
You what?
They were great apples.
No, I don't either.
It's easier than you think. No, really, they're much easier than a carrot.
Really, yeah. They're softer.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
It's wet.
Okay, just toss it in here.
Okay. I'm not
So it
tossing
doesn't
in here.
discolor. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Let me just give us 1 second.
Okay. All right. So the best part about having an audience today is also that you guys get to sample this, which is nice. And we'll put this aside. This applesauce I serve as dessert. I serve it along with some fruit, you know, as part of a fruit compote. I would put a little jar of it with next to some fruit. You could drizzle it on, top it. Yogurt, plain yogurt. There's lots of recipes also online for applesauce cakes and baking with applesauce. I just think that we just don't do enough with applesauce.
Pork chops.
Pork chops, we're
Pork
doing
chops,
pork
I know.
chops, absolutely.
In?
Okay, in please. Yes.
Oh, I saw you. I was watching yours. You said go with the back of the knife. Then you don't dull it.
Oh, good student.
I thought that was a good tip.
It's true.
Oh,
It's very true. All right, then we take our kale and we simply wrap it all up like this. I'm going to use a little smaller knife. I have an easier time with a smaller knife because of my wrists. So,
Yeah.
so what we will do is just, it's called chiffonade. This is a fairly large chiffonade. Sometimes if you're in a restaurant, you get a dish with just very tiny little slivers of basil. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
a very fine chiffonade. But this is a little coarser, and we want it to be very similar to the rest of our grated stuff that we previously grated. So put that in, and we'll keep tossing.
Yeah.
All right, while you do that, if you would.
Cutting kale.
Cutting
Yeah, this is
kale?
just an extra.
Yeah, okay,
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's just a Honey Crisp.
thank you. All right, so let's get that in. And I'll move this out. All right, so we got that, and now the dressing. Now you're going to see my impeccable measuring skills here. So we have, 5 tablespoons of plain Greek yogurt. We have a half a cup of mayonnaise. No, a quarter of a cup of mayonnaise. Quarter of a cup of mayonnaise. And some cider vinegar. So a quarter of a cup would be about, what do you think, 3 tablespoons? Yeah.
The little yogurt was almost the whole thing, so that was
Okay.
probably about a quarter
Okay,
cup.
all right, so there's
That
our-
was 5.
And Susan brought this?
No, that was
No,
not mine.
this is Trader Joe's.
Trader
Okay.
Joe's. We don't. I haven't had it. I haven't. It's good if you find a good organic mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you do not carry this, obviously
I
Trader
don't
Joe's
have
carries
them.
it.
I don't have
You don't do a
I don't have
mayonnaise,
them
huh?
out. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I used to have a really good ketchup, and they went out of business. Because our criteria is tough.
What's your criteria?
We do local first and foremost, right? But we try to do organic first, sustainable second, local third. So in our ideal
Okay.
world, in the summer, we're doing organic local, right?
Yes.
That's our favorite.
Okay.
But it's not always all available.
Okay.
So we mix it up clean, right?
Okay.
No GMO.
No GMOs,
No
okay.
GMOs.
All right. Okay, let's talk mustard for a second. Dijon mustard. This is a great proponent. Is not my favorite. My favorite really is Maille, M-A-I-L-L-E. I've been to Dijon. I've had their wonderful Dijon mustard. I think this is a good mustard, but I prefer the Maille. I couldn't get a coarse Maille, and I wanted that for a little coarse for this one. So this is a teaspoon of tablespoon actually of smooth or grainy Dijon mustard. This is not quite as tangy as the other ones are. I think of this more as a mustard made for the Americans, which is terrible to say. They're probably going to get all sorts of bad hate mail or something, but
no one should ever hate you.
You'd be surprised. Having been writing a food column for 35 years, I have gotten my share of corrections and lots of stuff, verbal assaults. Yeah.
Shame.
You should have been around when I told people to turn off their smoke detectors when they made a roast chicken. The chief of the fire department, the fire chief came and
said never turn them off.
Went to my editor, Bill Huff,
Never
at the
turn 'em
Enterprise and said never turn them off. And I said, I told them to put them back on. He said, no.
Never turn them off.
That was, that was interesting. Okay,
Safety
so here
first.
we have, so here we have our dressing.
I think we need a bigger bowl.
I think we need a bigger bowl, but good luck finding one. So, I'm not sure what we have. Maybe we'll do it in two, because again, like I said in the beginning, sort of my mission here with this Falmouth Is Cooking is to show you what to do when you're cooking in a kitchen that doesn't have what you think it should have. If you're traveling or if it's not your kitchen, oh, look what you did. Good for you. So, always take Susan with you if you're traveling. She can find the right
I'd like
bowls.
that.
Yeah,
Just let me know.
All right. So 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar and 1½ teaspoons of sugar. Cider vinegar, good stuff, Susan said. And I like to use the sugar in the raw, Demerara sugar, just to give it a little bit. Now we could use honey in this too, right?
But raw sugar is great if you're using sugar.
So that's about 1½ teaspoons of sugar. I'm going to put some kosher salt. Okay. And then just a little of my other product that I often talk about when I'm cooking at Highfield, teaching classes there. This is what I call a chef's salt. It's just coarsely ground black pepper and kosher salt, and I think the ratio is 4 parts salt to 1 part black pepper. So what you would actually be doing is maybe do 5 tablespoons of sugar. Sorry, 5 tablespoons of kosher salt and 1 tablespoon of black pepper.
So you make your own.
So I make my own, and then you'll see when we do the pork chops, when we're going to be seasoning those, you just rub this right in, and you don't always have to be reaching for the other stuff.
Yeah, that's nice to have a
And,
premix like
it's
that.
nice to have a premix. Some chefs use it, some chefs don't. It really, over the years, as I've done my interviews with chefs for my food column, what I've seen is that everyone has their own techniques. Everybody has their own preferred products, their own prepared seasoning mixes, but there's so much more available. Even in the 35 years I've been writing my food column, it's just amazing what has come out.
There's a lot of clean, good, easy things
Absolutely.
now, which is nice.
Absolutely. So, can you just wipe that off on your little rag there and give this a taste and tell me what you think it needs? Too vinegary?
Maybe a little, but I like a little tang.
Yeah, well, it's the yogurt too. Oh, that's why. Yeah, yeah.
Some of that's the yogurt.
If you wanted to smooth it
nice.
out, if you wanted to smooth it out a little more, perhaps use 4 tablespoons of yogurt instead of 5, and just see. And then if you want it tangier, you can add more of the yogurt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In our spoons go here in our tasting jar.
Okay.
And this is finished.
It's beautiful.
But as I get ready to display it, edible flowers, calendula, which is edible. These are from my herb garden that George Chapman does for me at Highfield. dressing them up a little bit, just a little bit. Now clearly if you were storing this in a Tupperware container in the refrigerator, you would probably not put the fresh herbs in. This is just sage and the edible flower, but I think that just for the sake of presentation, which is part of what we do here in Falmouth Is Cooking, I think that that is a nice presentation.
And I always watch when you do that at Highfield too, because you always make it a little extra pretty.
I try.
Yeah, it's nice.
Try.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
I find myself doing it more.
The eyeliner of
I think
food.
of you.
Okay, all right, so here we have our coleslaw.
Going big.
It's pretty. Look at that dark green in there, it makes such a difference. And you don't want to let this sit for too long because the apple will discolor. So you want to get it mixed up with the dressing when you can. Here's your rag, I stole it.
That's all right.
Okay. I don't know, this is, it says the name of it is End of Summer Coleslaw. You know where this recipe is from? The Boston Globe. I still use Boston Globe recipes. I think they are just terrific.
It's nice.
Cheryl Julian, who I took a food styling, food photography class with, is one of their senior editors, and she just always comes up with good recipes. Sally Paisley Vargas is the other person who taught the class that I took. And this is actually Sally's recipe. So here we have this. I think that's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Love it.
Okay.
And there's so many of these. All of this is in season now too, so that's nice. You could even
Put that in the
add.
sink for me, please. Thank you. What were you going to say? You could do what?
You know me, I love those purple radishes.
Oh, yes.
I shred those little guys, put those in, just add a little kick. You could play with what you put in it. If there's things you like or things you don't
Or
like.
things that you don't like, and we've got some of your gorgeous carrots here.
Yeah, the carrots are good now.
And then I'm going to confess. Here's my confession.
Oh, tell 'em.
Tell them. I'm going to tell them.
Why not?
Oh, because you can do it yourself. You can core a cabbage, a red cabbage or a green cabbage, and you can certainly shred it. I used coleslaw mix.
I know. It's okay.
So it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's
You know,
okay.
if food stresses you out, then that's sad. If you're happy, make the food.
Yeah.
And then the people are happy, and then it's good.
Yeah, and then everybody's
Yeah.
happy. Yeah.
Enjoy. It's not stressful.
Okay, why don't you keep tossing this for me, and then we'll do a little taste if we
Okay.
can. I suspect it may need a little bit more pepper,
I always pepper.
but we'll see. The salt will break down the vegetables, so we don't want to go too salty. This is something that I would probably make and let sit for maybe 15, 20 minutes or so before serving. But I think it's one of those coleslaws just get better as they sit in the refrigerator. Okay. All right, so if you just toss that just a little more.
Sure.
And then we'll just clean that up and put it right there. So let's get our Dutch baby started. We have pork chops coming out. I'm just going to take a look at them. Susan has beautiful meats. And here's how they come. This is a packaged for Revival Farm. Where's Revival Farm?
Revival Farms in Plimpton.
Okay. Packed for Revival Farm pork loin rib chops. This is how they would come if you were to buy them. Nice and thick. I think one of these would serve 2 people.
Depending on how much you want to eat, for sure.
And how much else you're serving. So.
Right. That's great.
All right. And here
And
are
they're
our pork
delicious
chops.
leftover cold. I've had them many times, you know.
And here they are. Right here. Okay. You want to give it a taste?
Get a little bit of everything.
Looks good. All right, apple Dutch baby. So I'm going to let these come to room temp right here. And I think Susan and I are going to experiment a little bit. And we're going to make 2 apple Dutch babies.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Now that I see the size of those, I think we'll be okay
Fine.
with the pork chops on that. Okay, so 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So we are dividing this in half. right, so we will do 2 tablespoons in each. And then comes our fancy popover batter. That's all this is. It's very, very simple. Eggs, flour, a little bit of vanilla in this, a little bit of sugar, I think, and that's about it. I'm going to pour this on top of the apples. How about getting me an apple ready?
You want honey crisp?
I think, well, what do you think? This is going to be a custardy batter that's going to be poured over the apples. You picked the apples. You brought some good apples.
Are we shredding?
No, we're not shredding. We're slicing.
I still think the honey crisp.
Okay.
Everybody loves honey crisp.
I know. Honeycrisp is my favorite. I just hate to go to it all the time.
You want to do Portland instead? We could do one with one and one with the other.
Okay, let's do that.
There we go. We can go wild.
All right.
All right. Wow. We've got half a honey
we could
crisp.
change the name of this to Going Wild with Apples.
There we go.
Instead of All About Apples.
And then these are the Portland.
Okay. All right. 1 large sweet apple, such as Honeycrisp, peeled. I think let's do 2 apples, 1 in each. Heating the butter. The oven is on to 4 1/4 or 450. I can't remember, but we'll check it when it goes over there. And then we want to do some flour and eggs and milk in a pan. So as this gets, as the butter melts, Susan, just add the apples. Okay?
Okay.
Once again, this recipe does call for using peeled apples, but I just don't do it. I really don't. Do you ever peel apples? If you're making a fancy French tart, would you do that?
No, I don't peel apples. My son loves everything peeled, and I love everything with the skins. So, but he's off to college now, so nothing's getting peeled again.
Okay. Where is he in school?
He just left for Edinburgh.
For?
Edinburgh, Scotland.
Excuse me.
Oh, it was quite a trip.
Cool. Cool. I was in Scotland.
Were you?
He went after the funeral of the Queen, though, right?
He flew yesterday. And classes started today. He
my
was waiting for his
goodness.
visa. It was,
Oh, wow.
anyway. All right, we want these thin sliced?
Please. Did he plan that?
Which?
Going to Edinburgh.
First
Edinburgh or Edinburgh? Edinburgh. Even
You
though it's
swallow
spelled, even though it's spelled B-U-R-G-H.
Yeah,
you say it.
Well,
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be corrected.
Okay. Wow. All right, 4 of Susan's delicious, organic, wonderful farm fresh eggs.
These ones are local, but
Okay.
not organic.
Okay.
Really hard to find local organic produce. And so then your choice is either get organic produce that's been trucked across country, or wash your local produce or peel. All right, and we're doing
1 in each. Yeah, we're just going to saute them. Let's do. You know what? Let's do. Oh, that's beautiful. Let's. It's going to get messed up when we toss it, but that's
I'm
okay.
just using the
Let's
space.
do half an apple in each,
Okay.
and let's save the other one that you have. And we're going to do a little bit of a Rosh Hashanah thing with some
good.
honey. Okay.
Good. I was thinking of that too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I am whisking with a fork.
You see the difference in the apples?
Oh, good. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the honey crisp.
Okay.
Color is different, the size is different, right?
Yeah,
And that one's
the
the
flesh
Cortland.
is actually
More yellow.
Yellow, and the Cortlands are whiter.
little more white.
Okay. All right. So this needs a teaspoon of vanilla.
Is that enough? Or you want
I
more?
think that's good. Cook's tip. This is a teaspoon. Isn't that easy? So much better than having to drag out a spoon. And I just did the very top. This is a nice vanilla. This is Madagascar bourbon pure vanilla. I like to use vanilla paste also. But this is what we have here today. And I'm going to do a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt. Even though it's a sweet dish, it still needs it. And some sugar. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. All
It's
right.
easy to forget about Dutch babies,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then you make them and everybody's like, "Ooh, what did you do?"
Oh, we have a popover
They're
Maven
so
in the audience, so she knows Dutch babies.
They're so much fun, and they really are not hard.
No, they're so easy.
They really are not hard, but they're so impressive.
And we are just going to mix this and then just throw it in the oven, time it, and we will be good to go. So would you measure out for me a 1/2 cup of flour, which went where? There it is.
Oh, it's back here. Here, I can do that and bring it.
Thank you. Okay, just going to get poured in here. Only because I'm trying to use every dish in the place, which is what I do at Highfield. No, because I'm cleaning up here, so I'm not going to try to use every dish in the place. Just put it right in and whisk that in. I think your recipe may call for doing it in the food processor so that it's not lumpy, but we're going to use old-fashioned elbow grease,
Yeah.
and if I get tired of this, Susan will help me with it.
Yeah, and a real whisk would help.
And a real whisk would help,
We are strong.
but we're not going to be daunted by this.
Never.
So we want to get this as smooth as we can. Thank you. 4 tablespoons butter, 1 large apple, 1/2 cup of whole milk, 1/2 cup of AP flour, all-purpose flour, 4 large eggs, 3 tablespoons of sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, and a little bit of salt. Turn the apples, turning once, just until they start to soften, and then while the apple is cooking, blend this, pour it over, and put it in the oven for 15 minutes. So,
Blend it.
all right.
Like blender.
Blender. We've had some.
I'm a human blender.
You what?
I'm the human
You're my
blender.
human blender. Thank you. And we've also had some. I don't know how to say it. This is some little. Risky times with a blender and a food processor here, so.
Wild times.
Yeah, wild times.
More wild times.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do with these, I turn them off, but I'm going to turn the apples over, and all this wonderful buttery stuff is going to be right into the pancake, and it is going to just rise up and be beautiful. And you'll get to see it all, and by the time we get to eat it, unfortunately, it'll probably be a little puffed down, fallen down, but it is still very good, and it's wonderful even the next day if you refrigerate it. It's so good.
Oh yeah, nobody complains.
Okay. All right. How smooth is that, my human blender?
Less than a real blender, but
You're doing pretty good.
I think it'll go.
All right. Now, at the first show that I did in 2019, we did a Dutch baby that I think I made into a savory Dutch baby. So we just did it, put some cheese on top as soon as it came out of the, no, I put the cheese on it when it was in the oven, and put the batter in over butter, put cheese on it, grated cheese, put it in the oven, and then when it came out, I put fresh herbs all over it. It was really wonderful. It was a cocktail dish, you know, you put it in the middle of the cocktail table and let everybody, wonderful.
Such a good idea.
Oh, I read a lot. And you should see my
good.
cookbook collection. Quite a cookbook collection.
It's fun.
Cooking is fabulous. I think I'm relatively obsessed with food at this point. So.
Yeah, well, I started
It's
a
my business. You started a business, you know what that's like. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think we want to divide that up.
I got a little more.
Okay,
There's the oven.
there's the oven.
All right, here. I'll let you eyeball it. You're the master.
The master eyeballer. All right.
Did I get most of the lumps?
Yep.
Yeah, not too bad.
That looks beautiful. And some of the apples are going to stay on top, and some of them are going to stay on the bottom. And if we served this with a nice, fresh Somerset creamery ice cream, we'd be all set. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to have it plain today with powdered sugar on it. Okay. So here we go. Having asbestos fingers and hands is part of the deal. All right. here we have our larger skillet that we're going to do our pork chops in. Okay, so I am going to turn this on. Power. And on. High. And a little lower maybe. A little bit of olive oil, heat up the pan. And we're going to use some smoked paprika. Do you like smoked paprika? I always had it in my cupboard, my pantry, my cupboard, whatever, and never really used it. And once I don't know whether it was a bad jar or what I had, but it just really wasn't the flavor of it was not in my palate, not for my palate. So I didn't use it. And then I went to the Azores and discovered how wonderful this is. And now I use it all the time. Deviled eggs, just all the time. I just love it. So smoked paprika. And we're going to rub this in with some salt and pepper. Okay. And then I'll put them seasoned side down in the one hand for paprika, one hand for salt and pepper. This is like doing chicken tenders, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Salt and pepper, I'd say probably, I always say to taste, but I'd say I probably used half a teaspoon each. Okay. Oh, these are beautiful.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
One of our favorite farms.
Let's just rinse that and bring it back because I need to take the chops out. All right, so a little more paprika. And a little more salt and pepper. And then I'll clean off my cooktop. It's one thing to be cooking at home or to be cooking at Highfield. And not be cooking on a black surface where everything shows up. Okay, kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper, and
Olive oil.
okay, olive oil. We did that. Oh, look.
Yeah.
Good. 1 apple, cored and thinly sliced. There we go.
There we go.
Let's see. And we're doing really just about half
You
a
can put that
recipe.
there, right?
Yep, right there is good. I'm going to put the pork chops in that, and then I'm going to saute some onion and apple and some garlic. Do we have? Okay.
Look at these.
And an onion. I'll work on the onion.
Okay.
If you work on the apple. Garlic is very tough to find. Good, healthy garlic in the supermarkets. It is just dreadful. That's why we got to go to Bootstrap Farm Club.
Well, that's Langwater Farm, and then Bay End Farm, which is right across the bridge, has gorgeous garlic. We had it fresh, and now it's curing, and hopefully we'll get some more of that. And right now we brought in some smaller cloves from Wardsbury Farm. But it's in now, and we buy heavy because everybody loves garlic.
And what does curing mean?
When the garlic comes at the beginning of the season, it'll still have its green top, and we get green garlic, which looks like scallions.
Okay.
You can cook with that. That's before the garlic bulb has
Is
made.
that what's called garlic scapes?
No, okay. So the scape is the top that's going to turn into a flower. It's curly, and you put it on the grill. Okay, that's delicious.
Okay.
Then there's green garlic, which is even before the scape. That's almost comes from seed garlic.
Okay.
It really looks like a scallion, but it tastes like garlic.
Okay.
I think we did some with you at Highfield.
I think so.
In the spring,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And then the garlic grows all summer and continues to grow, and then, harvesting. Mine's out.
Good.
This is out. And then you get it fresh.
Okay.
And then it cures in that hole.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So there's many stages of garlic.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh,
Right.
Look.
I know.
This is just gorgeous.
Pork and chicken, I think, are two of the things that taste most dramatically different from
organic,
commercially mass raised to small farm, local raised.
Okay.
Yeah, because they really reflect what they eat a lot, and eat really, really carries those flavors. We find even different porks, if they're fed dairy, then you get a different flavor. If they get into truffles or any kind of acorns or nuts, it affects the flavor. Nobody's getting into truffles here, sadly. But
I don't know. We could. I don't know why we don't. Why don't we? Why don't we do truffles in this country?
I think truffles do what truffles want, where truffles want.
Where truffles want.
I think
Okay. And they really belong.
They're just
French.
It's a rare and
Where
natural.
are we? Tuscany, where are truffles?
France, I know south of France, there's truffle hunters.
Perigord, is that the area?
Yeah, I think we should go truffling. Let's put that on the to-do list. Is this how you want these?
Okay.
You want these long skinnies like this?
Yep, perfect.
Perfect.
Along with learning my oven timer, we'll go truffling.
Well, that's good. I'm up for the truffling.
Okay. So what I'm going to do to save a little time here is, sorry, I'm taking the leaves off the thyme. So here we have a cute little pun, not intended. I'm going to chop the garlic with the thyme and the rosemary. And then when the dish is finished, we will garnish it with a little bit more of the thyme and rosemary, so that we know what herbs are in. Beautiful, beautiful dish here. I made this recipe the other night to test it for today, and I was really impressed with just how sort of old-fashioned, old-timey it was, but just wonderful. I was thinking maybe I might add a little bit of mustard to it. I don't think I'm going to do that here, but if I do it again at home, I might add a dash of heavy cream and a little bit of mustard, thinking that it just might give me a nicer gravy. I will send in to the station here that can go on to our taped show the dinner that I served with mashed potatoes and green beans. So essentially, we're chopping up our herbs and our garlic, and once those chops are well browned, I'm going to put them in that plate, and then we're going to saute our vegetables and fruit, apples, and all of this. 3 minutes per side, transfer to a plate. Okay, to the same skillet, add apple, onion, and garlic. Okay. And cook until the apples and onion are browned. Add herbs, apple cider, and bring to a simmer. So I did not have apple cider. I could have asked you to bring some. Do you have some?
No.
No, okay.
I'm out.
Then I'm glad I didn't ask you.
I would have brought it, but I was out. Sold out.
We are going to use little motts, which I usually have if I don't have cider. Right. Okay, let's put
apples
the apples
first?
in.
Okay, ready. Those are going to splatter a little.
Yeah. And I'll lower the heat a tiny bit. Okay. And our garlic.
Oh, smell that?
Yeah,
and then it hits the pan.
That smell of the
I'll just keep saying, ooh, smell that. Smell that, everybody?
I'm trying to send it to the cameras, but
it's working.
I'm
sure it's working.
All right. Oh my goodness.
The aromatics really came out.
And look at how nice that paprika is.
The color is beautiful.
That little bit of smoked paprika, too. And what I'm going to do, Susan, is take the temp on the pork.
Yeah.
And see how much it needs to actually be cooked more. So we're going to sort of make a sauce.
Yeah.
And then
that's enough?
Good enough. That's plenty.
Plenty?
Let's wipe off that knife, and then we'll do our little Rosh Hashanah thing.
Oh, okay.
Apple juice and meat thermometer. Never go anywhere without my meat thermometer. We have a couple of them at Highfield. This is a Thermapen. This is years old. It's still working. They now have much cheaper ones. This is the old $95 one. I think you can get them for $35, $36. They're wonderful. Well, that's pretty good. $147, $150. Perfect. So all the nice fond, which is the juices and the seasonings from the pork, are in this. I'm just softening up the apples. This is so simple and so good. All right, so if you keep your eye on that for me, then I think we'll add a cup of, and bring that to a simmer. So this is how many ounces? 8 ounces, so that's my cup. There we go. Okay. Okay, Mott's. If you don't have cider, do that. Okay. All right, now we're ready for our showstopper with the cutest little oven mitts I got here.
Yeah, nice.
I just discovered these. I've always been, well, I used to use the ones I used to make my mother at camp, so God knows.
I always need hockey mitts.
All right.
Oh, look how beautiful.
Oh my goodness. How is that? Can you guys see that? Beautiful? There. Okay, if you'd shut that and turn the oven off for me, Susan, please. And just a quick little... Now, if you ordered this in a restaurant, it could come to you just like this. But we are here, so we're going to let it sit for a few minutes, but that is a gorgeous dessert. That can be brunch, it can be dessert, it could be anything like that.
For the kids in the mornings.
Kids in the morning, yeah.
My mom used to make them.
Really? In the morning, boy, were you special.
Like Sunday morning, you know, not like breakfast, not like school.
Oh, okay.
Like a, we're having a, like a brunchy, you know.
Okay. I'm going to just add a tiny bit of the raw sugar, just to give it a little bit of whatever here. Okay. And I think we are doing pretty well. Let's let that simmer and just thicken a little bit. I'm going to put the pork chops back in.
Fine. I
Okay.
like that idea.
And oh my goodness. So I have this up to high now. The reason I put it on high is to thicken it, so it's really going to reduce some and probably bubble over the entire stovetop, and then we'll have to say whoops. But there we go. Okay. All right. So let's do our honey and apples for our first part of the tasting.
You're going to go back in there, or you want me to mince that?
I want to put that in there, please.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Pour it, yeah.
Okay. So my stove is now down to medium low.
Yeah.
Okay. And to keep my apples softening, I just want to do this. And should I put honey in a little dish?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I do.
When is Rosh Hashanah? It's coming up, right?
Yeah, next week.
Next week. What are you making?
I don't know yet. I
Okay.
might end up going somewhere. I'm working on those plans.
That would be good.
Yeah. Brisket's sort of the traditional.
Yep.
Yeah. And apple cakes.
And apple cakes.
Right. So
Okay.
is
See how
Johnny's.
quickly these deflated?
Yeah.
But it doesn't make them any less good. If you want the wow factor when you're serving your guests, definitely be ready to serve them right away. But otherwise, I think they're perfect just like that. I've even made them in advance of a dinner party and then just serve them like that.
Yeah.
And then put one in the refrigerator and you've got breakfast the next day. Or if it was Susan's mother, it would be hot, right? Okay. Little dish for some honey. And the significance of this, Susan, for Rosh Hashanah is?
You're dipping for a sweet new year.
Okay.
Wishing you a sweet new year.
Oh, this will get me my honey for my allergies,
There
won't
you
it?
go, right?
Okay. Can I have a little thinner slice?
Yeah, you're smart.
Eating on camera is a totally different experience than eating at home, believe me.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah, good.
Okay, you dip.
So you just dip. And try not to drip. That's the key. Isn't that honey good?
Wow.
So much flavor.
What kind of apple we got?
This is Honeycrisp.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I took a bite. I'm turning it
Go ahead.
around.
I won't tell. And turning it around works fine. Waste not.
Right?
Right. I will have a very sweet New Year.
Sweet New Year to you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for
fun.
having me.
I'm going to serve one pork chop for us. The staff and our audience will get to taste some of this as well. My asbestos fingers. That nice.
Beautiful.
You can do this one of two ways. We wanted to move this along. I think I might have, for timing, just to be able to keep our viewers engaged and keep my audience from passing out from the wonderful smells. I think I would have probably cooked my apples a little longer and gotten them a little softer. But on the other hand, this can be nice too. So we've got the onions, and you can see that this nice sauce and gravy here just calls out for polenta, mashed potatoes, egg noodles, anything like that. So, okay, so here is our end of summer applesauce, end of summer coleslaw. Here's our end of summer applesauce, or our early fall applesauce. And just because you can never have too much of a good thing in terms of applesauce. We'll put this along here. Okay, and we get to sample. And for the sake of the camera, let's move this off. And then move this over. Okay.
Okay.
Right, and we get to sample this gorgeous pork. Oh man, look at that, it's beautiful. Here.
Thank you.
And a little, wonderful. Oh, I love the fat part.
The fat's good.
But I love the fat.
No, but no, you shouldn't.
No.
Your
It's
brain,
okay.
your brain is 100% fat. If you don't get any fat, you're not feeding your brain.
My brain is 100% fat.
Brains are
my
fat.
Lord, no wonder I eat so much butter.
Brains are fat. Brains eat fat.
Flaky sea salt, Malden. Just a little
it.
bit of a finishing. Okay.
I'm gonna have to go home and make one of those.
Okay. A little bit of a bite of some apple. This is how I consider this actually finger food. So this is what I do with it. It's just, will you eat from my fingers? Will you forgive my fingers here?
I forgive your fingers.
Thank you.
Look at that. Delicious.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I think this is going to be a wrap for us. Next time, I hope we ooh and ah over pumpkins, just like we are doing over the apples. Thanks for watching. See you again. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Gail.
Falmouth Is Cooking is made possible in part by the following. Appliances donated by Crane Appliance. Kitchen installation donated by M. Duffany Builders. Specialty studio electric and gallery installation donated by David Rogers Electric. Kitchenware donated by Eastman's Hardware.